with me. It's Passenger Seat Radio. It's November 12th, 2025. You're on my 13-mile commute home. Welcome to the show. I know what you're thinking. We haven't had a show in like weeks. It seems like weeks anyway. Maybe it's only been a couple of weeks, but things have been very, very busy. At my job, we ended up moving buildings. So that shuffled everybody around, and I didn't come in. I wasn't coming in the building I didn't come into the office for a week, so I kind of screwed up the Passenger Seat Radio schedule. But so much, I've got so much to talk about. I'm never going to get through it all. Fortunately, according to Google Maps, I have at least a 35-minute drive, and every minute I'm not on the freeway adds 2 minutes to the time. So we'll see how it all works out at the end. All right, so there's two really big things to talk about, right? One is Arc Raiders, a new extraction shooter that has defied all my expectations and sensibilities. And then Valve just freaking exploded. Last week on Wednesday, Valve announced not one, not two, but 3 new pieces of hardware, which is just batshit crazy. So we've got a lot to talk about. But let's talk about Arc Raiders first, and then I'll roll into the Valve stuff, because I've put out a lot of videos on the Valve hardware, but I think there's things that we should talk about all the same. We don't have a ton of details yet, but we can pontificate a little bit about it. So Arc Raiders was originally completely off my radar. It's an extraction shooter, PvPvE, right? And let's be honest, these games are typically sweaty as fuck. Listen, I have tried so many massive online shooters. I'm talking about Grand Theft Auto Online. I'm talking about Red Dead Redemption Online. Anything that you get a group of people together for, somebody turns into assholes. And for whatever reason, like I remember specifically in Grand Theft Auto Online, like the only thing that went down, hey now, Fernando's here, Flair's here. The only thing that ever went down in Grand Theft Auto were freaking witch hunts and freaking death squads. That was it. You'd get in, you'd try to drive around and have some kind of a game, and a car full of people would come up next to you, run you off the road, and kill you. And that was wash, rinse, and repeat. The exact same thing happened with Red Dead Redemption. So I literally would get into the game, and camped around the spawn points are assholes, and they would just kill you. There was no camaraderie. There was no cowboys versus Yerps. There was nothing fun going on. It was nothing but a bunch of sweaty assholes trying to kill each other. And typically speaking, anytime you put PvP in any sort of description, it becomes a fucking bloodbath because people are assholes. But there's something about Arc Raiders that's different. And believe me, I can begin to explain why there's something different about Arc Raiders. But truth of the matter is, one, it's a really good game, right? So that's part of it. Just because it's not sweaty, toxic shit, a good game does not make. But it's a good game. It's a fun game. It's got a lot to do, a lot to see. But I have never have I ever seen a PvP style game where almost 98% of the people you encounter are helpful, they're friendly, they want to work with you, not against you, they're willing to give you precious ammo, they're willing to give you shit. It is absolutely batshit crazy. So like, you meet somebody, you say you're friendly, every now and then somebody says, yeah, I'm friendly, and then they shoot you in the head. Okay, that does happen, but it's rare. So rare that it's almost not worth bringing up, which is crazy. It's a PvPvE. You expect it to be a fucking shitty ass bloodbath, but it's not. And so I got into it just after it released. I wasn't in the beta, and I wasn't part of the launch because, well, it's an extraction shooter. Fuck that. But a few days into the launch, there was an article that was talking about Arc Raiders is different. Arc Raiders is the extraction shooter haters game, right? And I'm going, shit, this does sound like fun, but they're pulling shit, right? He's not telling the truth. Everyone in there's a sweaty little bitch, right? No. And so I'm like 50 hours into the game, which is ridiculous. I'm 50 hours into the game, and everybody's still cool, right? It's not the launch day friendlies. It's not the launch week friendlies. Everybody's like fucking chill, man. And there's something about the team up, right? I get it. You go in with your bro. You go in with your bro and your hoe, right? So you can play single, solo, dual, or trio, right? So you can play 1, 2, or 3 players. Now you play solo. Well, you know how it is, right? Solo is a little more challenging. You have nobody to watch your back, nobody to pick you up, right? But there will be groups of duos and trios that are running around together, right? It's like the beginning of the Warriors, right? When Cyrus is like, they're the Moon Runners, right next to the Van Cortlandt Rangers. Nobody is wasting nobody. And it's like, that's what it is. It's like the Warriors. It's absolutely great. There's like this pact not to hurt each other for the most part. And, so, the game loop is simple. You build a loadout or take a freebie. Go into a map of which there are like, I think 5, and they're all huge, right? With different things to see, different things to do. You have quests, you have feats to do, you have things to find, yada, yada, yada. There's not really much of a story, let's be honest. But there's plenty to keep you busy outside of just the natural fact of building up your loot base. So, unlike the loot shooter, where your job is to find the next best gun, right? The next bigger weapon, the next bigger this. There's none of that going on. Your loot is about readying you for progression to the next level. So follow me on this one. So you start off level nothing, right? And the level nothing and the level 10 and the level 20 guy, if you all work with free loadouts, right, where you get a free loadout, you don't have to expend any of your inventory, you're all on par with each other. And there's a base set of guns. There's a base set of mods. There's a base set of everything. So really, going up in levels just means you have a greater amount of loot to build with. So here's how the progression works. You do have a skill tree, right? And you, as you advance in levels, so you get XP for doing everything. Even searching an empty locker that somebody has already searched gets you XP. So you start leveling up. Every time you level up, you can put a point to one of your skill trees. But the skill trees are, I don't want to call them negligible, but they're almost negligible. So somebody who's been playing 100 hours and has a nice full skill tree in X, Y, or Z doesn't really put them at a great advantage. The game is very well balanced like that. So it's really more a matter of just kind of making you feel like you're getting somewhere, right? You're going to crawl a little bit faster when you're down, right? That's something you can put points to. You get a little bit higher, stamina, whatever. And so as you gather more and more disparate shit in your stash, then you can start building new workstations. New workstations allow you to build slightly better weapons, slightly better consumables, slightly things that you can get access to. You can go to one of the traders underground. You can go to one of the traders and buy a snapshot grenade, right? You can go buy one. Anybody can buy one. Or once you've leveled up enough, you can build them yourself. That's how the leveling thing works. So even though I'm like level 32 and I have level 2 workbenches across the board, somebody can still be on par with me if they choose to sell their loot and buy stuff from the traders. So it's really well done. It's almost roguelike. It's almost like a roguelike game. You go out expecting to die, planning to die, and if you don't, you get to keep all the shit from the loadout, the free loadout, right? So you can start building a stock just from playing free loadouts and getting your ass back. So the game loop's simple. Build a loadout or get a free one, choose a map, go out, loot like a son of a bitch, maybe explore some of the map you haven't seen yet, maybe meet up with somebody, or and the greatest moment of all time that I've had in this game so far, this was awesome. So I'm out in the middle of the freaking map, right? And there's these ruined, it's like the ruined houses or something. There's always some big giant motherfucking robot in there, right? That's the VE part, right? You're playing against what they call the ARCs. Basically, think something like Horizon Zero Dawn. Intelligent machines you have to shoot pieces off of, that sort of thing. You get the idea. But so I hear all this gunfire going off, right? So I'm actually with a free loadout this time. So you choose, right? If you're gonna go and just fucking veg, you take a free loadout. If you're going to accomplish something, you build something special, right? You build up a custom loadout based on what it is you're trying to do or to accomplish. So I go out there, I got the free loadout, I've got practically fucking nothing, right? And I hear all of this ruckus going on in the middle of the map. So I work my way down. There is this giant, I think it was a leaper, I can't remember for sure, huge robot. I mean, just fucking mammoth, scary as hell. And there are probably 15 guys attacking this thing. Now, you can only have a squad of 3 maximum. So even if everybody was in a squad, you're still talking about having 5 squads all working together, right? That's crazy. Nobody's wasting each other. Everybody's on target, on focus. We all want to bring this leaper down. I jump in, right? Again, I've got a really shitty basic loadout. I can barely contribute to the cause, right? So I jump in and I'm running around. I'm trying to kite the guy a little bit so that the other guys can reload. There's this whole everyone's talking and yelling and screaming and having this great time. And there's this comms level going on because you have this proximity chat going on. So even if they're not on your team, you can hear them. And everybody, I mean, people are throwing fucking singularity bombs and all this shit's going on. It's crazy. And everybody's working together. People get knocked down. Somebody else runs over and picks them up, heals them. Somebody's screaming they need ammo. Shit, one person peels off, gives the other person the ammo that they need, and we're back to the fight. And yeah, at the end of the match, right? At the end of that encounter, we fucking tore that little bitch down to the ground. It was so fucking exhilarating. It was so exciting and fun. And then that's when you figure everybody would turn and start killing each other, right? Because there's one giant bad guy and there's like 50 people in the fight. Who gets the spoils, right? Or who's going to stay alive long enough to get the spoils? Because you know how this is, right? 10 little Indians. But dude, nobody killed each other. Nobody was fucking greedy and ran up there and started snarfing shit. Everybody was cool. Everyone was starting to, the comms, man. The comms is what kills me. Say, hey, there's X, Y, or Z over here on this leg of the leaper. Does anybody need that? Come over here and get it. It's like, I don't know. I have trouble explaining that this is like the most non-toxic game ever. And you'll meet people and they'll help you. Let me tell you how this works. Let me give you 2 examples of crazy shit. And then I'll move on and get off of this and we'll talk about Valve. I spawned on a map, and if you know the spawn point, you run up these stairs and you come out, and I would say within 50 feet of the spawn point, somebody shoots me, knocks me down, right? So I'm not close enough to extract, right? You can extract while you're down if you're close enough, but I just got up. I just got out there. Some guy shot me, and I yell, so I use the proximity chat. I yell, it's like, dude, what the fuck? Did you mean to shoot me? What kind of an asshole are you? And he's like, oh man, you know what? You're right. I just wanted free shit. I'm sorry. And I'm like, well, can you help me up? Do you have a defibrillator? Can you get me up? And he's like, oh, I don't have one. Listen, I'm going to walk you to the extraction. So if you're in the same team, you can pick each other up. But if you're not, then somebody has to use a defib to get you up. But they can stabilize you. So you start bleeding out, right? Just like any of these other games. You start bleeding out. When you're done bleeding out, you're done. But somebody can come along and stabilize you, and so it stops the countdown for a little tiny bit. You get a little bit of grace period. This guy walked me like 300 fucking meters, keeping me alive to get to the extraction. This was the guy that wanted to shoot me in the head and steal my shit until I called him out on it. Then he felt bad, and he got me to the extraction. I didn't have anything. I didn't have time to even loot. But he felt so bad, and he took me to the extraction. What kind of fucking game does that? What sort of PvP game has people who once want you dead, but now are helping you out? It's just nuts. It's crazy. It's crazy town. And another time, some guy came after me. I'm not 100% sure he meant to come after me, but he shot, and I turned around and opened fire. Now, he must have been weak because he went down like a little bitch. I ran over there and fucking defibbed his ass. I paid it forward. I got him back up. He thanked me, and we went our separate ways. What kind of PvP fucking game do people do that? That's this game. So if you're on the fence, if you're saying, fuck that extraction shooter, sweaty asshole kids, I'm telling you, at least today, as of the making of this video, and for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, the game is like chill as fuck. I can't believe it. I cannot believe that happened. Now, yes, it is a $40 game. You are going to have to pay for it. Yes, there are alternative currencies. Yes, you can pay to get cosmetics. There's no pay to win. So take a hard look at it. It's like the #1 game on Steam right now. It's like it's already up for game of the fucking year. There's got to be something to it. And I'm telling you right now, I can tell you exactly what it is. It's like the greatest chill, cooperative, fuck up robot games. I love it. All right, so enough about Arc Raiders. Valve, what the fuck, man? So, all right, so obviously the Steam Deck's been a big hit. I mean, the Steam Deck has been on the top 5 Steam charts since it was released. No game has done that. But a piece of fucking $400 hardware has stayed at the top of Steam's charts. That's nutty. That's nutty. So that being said, we always knew that there was a VR headset coming from Valve. It was codenamed Deckard. There was some data miners that found some shit about it, but we don't know anything. They've managed to keep the lid on this shit. Get this, for like 5 fucking years they've been working on what's now called the Steam Frame. And the Frame, it took me a while to figure this out. First of all, Frame is the stupidest fucking name for a VR headset. There, I said it. But it makes sense when you look at the grand scheme of things. Let me finish. So, you've got the VR headset that we knew was coming, but we didn't know when or how or particulars. We knew that they weren't going to let fucking Facebook eat their lunch forever, right? And you know, Valve is one of those guys. They will not release hardware until it is time and it is ready. That's what Valve does. They're not in a hurry. They don't need the money. They don't need to do a refresh every 6 to 8 months, right? They do it when they're ready. Whenever it's ready, it's ready. So you would expect to see a piece of hardware get announced, but they dropped the entire fucking thing. First off, nobody knew that there was a Steam machine coming. Now, there's always been talk about what would a Steam machine be like today. For those of you who've been around long enough to realize, Valve released a Steam machine years ago, and let's be honest, it was a complete fucking flop, right? It was a complete flop. Why? Because it ran Linux, and like no games ran on Linux, except for like a handful of this and some indie games, that's it. So it didn't do well. They released a controller with it that was completely batshit crazy. It didn't make sense to most people. The people who adapted to it think it's the greatest shit of all time. Best controller ever made, right? But you have to adapt to it. So that didn't work out well. In fact, I actually owned one of those and sold it at a premium, more than I paid for it new, because it was in such high demand. So We had no idea there was a new steam machine coming out, but it makes sense. Again, hindsight's 2020. Just bear with me on this one. Along with the new steam machine, of course, what has to come with that? A new controller. So at one moment in time, Valve drops a brand new console-based PC, a brand new Steam controller, and a brand new premium VR headset. That's nuts, fucking nuts to bucket, man. That's unbelievable, right? Even one being announced would have been cool. 3 products announced all at the same time. And they snuck a bunch of fucking YouTubers and influencers, unfortunately not me, but they snuck a whole bunch of these guys up to Redmond and wined and dined them for several days and gave them looks at this new hardware. So we had like 5 or 6 major distributors of information come out on Wednesday when the embargo lifted, and everything came out. Everything came pouring out. So let's talk about these things. Now, I've done 3 videos, one on each piece of hardware, but I think it's worth, like I said, doing some speculation. So first off, the Steam Deck controller, the Steam controller, you see that Freudian slip there? Take a Steam Deck, cut the screen off, and shove the 2 sides together, you got the Steam controller, which is literally what everybody fucking wanted. We've been talking about this shit for like 2 fucking years. Every fucking week, somebody puts up, here's a fan render of the new Steam controller, ha 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 ha. This would be great. Wouldn't it be great if Steam made one of these things? And it's almost like exactly what Steam is releasing, right? So yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? Everybody wants the trackpads. Everybody wants gyro. Everybody wants 4 buttons on the back, and they all want it to work 100% perfect with Steam. That's exactly what they're releasing. And they added quality of life shit to it. There's a wireless puck that you can plug in, giving you, lag-free, custom fucking wireless connectivity. You can wire it up. You can use it as Bluetooth. The connectivity's built into the Steam machine. Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. It's literally what everybody wanted. And they promise you can have 4 of these fuckers connected without any lag, latency, or problems. You cannot say that about Bluetooth and the Steam Deck. You put 1 Bluetooth controller on the Steam Deck, it's a fucking mess. Put 3 more on there, forget about it. They know what they're doing. They've learned. Listen, Steam Deck was an experiment to get them where they're at now. All right, so they got the controller. No brainer. I will own fucking 5 of them, depending on how much they cost. I will be buying them left and right. I will have 2 in ready hot spares. I will have 2 that are unopened. I'm going to have 1 for... I'm going to have so many of these controllers, it's not even funny. All right, so let's move on to the Steam machine. The Steam machine is what everybody bought a Steam Deck for. Well, not everybody. The stupid ones. Stupid people bought a Steam Deck to use as a TV console. Right? That's my opinion. Stupid people bought a Steam Deck thinking it would be a great thing to plug into their TV. At the end of the day, probably the worst thing you could do with a Steam Deck is plug it into a TV, put it on a dock, try to pair up 4 Bluetooth controllers. It's literally fucking miserable for like 80% of the people. Hey, 20% of the people got it figured out. Everybody else is miserable. Everybody was trying to put a fucking square peg in a round hole, right? Well, they sell a dog, so it should be good on a TV. No, it shouldn't be good on a TV because of this and this and this and this. I've done videos and shit on that, so I won't belabor the point. But the Steam Deck is a shitty game console. It's a great handheld, right? It does exactly what it's supposed to do out of the box. People are trying to force it into their mold. That's where the problem comes in. They knew what they were doing, right? The Steam machine is essentially a Steam Deck that's 6 times more powerful. That's it. They literally gave the people exactly what they wanted. A Steam Deck that's more powerful, that's seamless to plug into your entertainment center. Bing! Everything that people have complained about. My controller won't wake up my Steam Deck when it's plugged into the TV. Fixed. Right? What's a good controller? All these controllers are shitty. The back buttons don't work. Blah, 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 blah. Fixed. They know exactly what they're doing. Now, the question is going to be price. Right? Everybody's speculating on the price. Folks have produced teardowns of the Steam machine, $428 in parts. And listen, I mean, that's as good as you can get, right? Because you've got distributor deals, you've got this, you've got that. There's all sorts of different ways that you can skin a parts cost breakdown. So let's just say that it's true, though. Let's say $428 is the actual price to make and build a Steam machine. $428. What's Valve going to charge for that? Now, I know what you're thinking. $399. Lose $30 and get 10 million more people into your Steam ecosystem. Could happen. Don't think so. I think that the generous ask would be $499. That's the lowest model of SKU, which is still 512 gigabytes. Notice how they fixed that fucking problem. There ain't no 64 gigabyte fucking Steam machine. They figured out that and they learned from it. God bless them. So 512 is the smallest Steam machine SKU you can get. And you can pop the top off and just slide in a new SSD, your call. And it supports 2230s and 2280s, maybe even the 2290s or the 22110s. It looks like there's room. So you're talking about being able to add 8 terabytes at some point to this thing. Easy peasy. 16 gigs of RAM, 8 gigabytes of VRAM, which, only 8 gigabytes, that's not enough. Dude, so here's how they spec'd this machine out. Steam has a treasure trove of data about you and your gaming habits, your hardware, your PC, everybody who knows PC. If Steam's running on it, Valve knows what machine you're running with all the hardware specs. They took that list and said, what are the majority of people running on or below? And the answer is the Steam machine. 70% of all Steam users are using a PC that matches or is less than a Steam machine. So let's just kibosh the talk about 8 gigabytes isn't enough. 70% of you fuckers are using that. 16 gigabytes not enough. 70% of people are using that. GPU's not good enough. 70% of people are using it. So chill, calm down, right? So it is the 70th percentile of Steam users is what the Steam machine represents. So what are they going to charge for? Is it going to be $499? Nah. No, they've got to make some. They got to make some bank on it, right? We got to make some bank. So what's it going to be? So the Steam Deck costs like $300 to put together, and they charge what, $450? So I mean, kind of figure the math out here. My money says $549. Lowest SKU, no controller, but if you want the $80 controller, they'll bundle it in for only $50 more. $599. That's the price that the Steam Deck will be. Lowest SKU, one controller, done. That's my prediction, $599. And that's still a great deal, considering the hardware. So that's what I'm thinking. And I figure the controllers be $79. $649. Listen, they can go higher, but listen, they're sort of the Nintendo of the PC land, right? They're not going to produce cutting edge hardware. They're going to produce good enough hardware that has the magic sauce, which is SteamOS. No Windows. Now think about this. Think about buying a PC. Even at great volume discounts, you're paying for fucking Windows. It may be $20, it may be $30, it may be $80, depending on what version of Windows is on that fucking OEM PC you bought. Somebody's paying for that. Steam owns that shit lock, stock, and barrel. There ain't no Windows on there. But you can put Windows on there just like on the Steam Deck. Imagine having a dual booting 8 terabyte fucking Steam machine with Windows and SteamOS. Just throwing that out there. 4 terabytes on each side. Play all your anti-cheat games on one side. Bliss. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I'm thinking we're talking $549, with $599 with one controller. That's making them a nice little chunk of change. It's getting it out there, and it's going to have anything more than $599. I mean, listen, $599 is not an impulse buy. I get it. But at $599, pretty much everybody on the internet says for $599, I'll pick one up. Anything more than that, I got to think about it. I think $599 is the sweet spot. We'll see. Could be totally wrong. Dude, these guys could literally say $399, eat $40. Oh, they can ship with no controller. Sure they can. You know why? You can use the Steam Deck as a controller. You can use a PlayStation controller. You can use a $10 8-bit controller. You can use an Xbox controller. Almost everybody who's even remotely in the gaming industry or in the gaming market has a controller, a Bluetooth controller. So I think that SKU will happen. Should they release a discless SKU? Yes, but they won't. That would be weird, right? They fucked up with the Steam Deck, and instead of releasing a discless SKU, instead of that 64 gigabyte monstrosity, because you know what happened? Half the people that buy a 64 gigabyte Steam Deck don't even turn it on. They pull the 64 gigabyte drive out and they put a 1 terabyte in it. And what happens to that 64 gigabyte hard drive, SSD? Goes in a drawer somewhere, it becomes e-waste. Right? Had you just been able to, save $50, sell more Steam Decks $50 less without the drive and let the people put in what they want. But I get it. That's asking for a lot of technical support. That's asking for a lot of bullshit. I understand. I understand why they didn't do that, but they could have been a little more forthright on what the real downsides of a 64 gigabytes. And just put an SD card in. Wrong. They lied to you. Well, they didn't lie. They just left stuff out. But I've talked about that ad nauseum too. All right, so the controller, I think the controller will probably be $69, $70. That would be my guess. There's a lot of tech in there. The haptics, the gyro, these new TMR controller sticks. I would love it to be cheaper because I could buy more of them. But I'm realistic. Like, what's a good Xbox controller run you? $110 for the Elite Core? That's $110. If they could make it $70, even $80, that would make the controller a good deal. But they'll throw it in with the Steam machine for the extra $50. That's my guess. All right, so let's move on because I'm running out of time. I got 6 minutes. Steam Frame. First of all, I told you Steam Frame was a dumb name, but now I know why it's called Steam Frame, and it's not a dumb name. It's actually very clever. What did you say? You buy a controller for sure. Oh, yeah. Listen, that controller, my nipples are hard right now thinking about that controller. I want it. I want it for my gaming PC right now. If they send it out right now, I would be buying them in quantity. Anyway, Frame, VR. What the fuck is the connection? And nobody's talking about this, by the way. I haven't seen a single video comment on the concept of what the fuck is Steam Frame? Frame? We knew about this name, by the way. We knew something about Steam Frame months ago. But nobody said, well, what could that possibly fucking be? Frame. Nobody even once thought, I guess that could be VR, but Frame? What kind of name is that? All right, so here's the deal. Valve isn't selling a VR headset. They're selling a personal, portable screen to play Steam on. This is an ecosystem now. The Steam Deck was just the tip, just putting the tip in, right? Just putting that tip in. That's all the Steam Deck was. Is there an appetite for non-desktop gamers or even like gaming laptop people, right? Is there a market for this? The answer was a resounding yes. So, instead of creating a premium, look at the index, right? How does the index figure into Valve's overarching strategy of getting you in Steam? It kind of doesn't, right? Steam Deck, that was the first time when it's like, we're going to give you just good enough hardware and we're going to make Steam so fucking good for you that you're going to be wanting to play everything and do everything on Steam. And it worked, right? That worked. So the Steam machine is just a console-based Steam Deck. But what about the frame? What about the Steam frame? And here's why the frame is a brilliant name. Just nobody's figured it out yet. A frame, even a picture frame, a frame of glass, a frame of a mirror, it's giving you a look into something, right? Frame is about giving you a window into your Steam library, into your Steam ecosystem. They have built an ecosystem of hardware around the Steam operating system and the Steam store, right? It's no longer a game launcher. Steam is also now an operating system. That's a big thing to think about. Windows no longer is the basis of fucking anything that Valve does. That's amazing to me. And they're building a foundation where everything is a frame into your Steam library everywhere, on your terms, how you want it, the way you want it, with whomever you want it with, right? So the frame is a frame into your Steam library that you happen to wear on your head. If you watch them closely, they don't like to use the term VR. They're certainly not using AR, right? Because it's black and white cameras, and it is very plain that they are not interested in AR or that XR sort of thing. VR, absolutely. They will mention PC VR gaming. They will, but what they're really selling, notice the emphasis. Watch the videos. Watch their interviews. Their emphasis is your Steam library, your Steam library, your Steam games, your Steam games. They've invested a shitload of time and effort into making all of your Steam library valuable, right? Well, with the Index, how many AAA games could you play on the Valve Index? Like one? Right? Half-Life Alyx, you get one AAA VR game. There's a couple of other ones, right? But my point is, you get one big sales pitch. You can only sell so many VR headsets with Half-Life Alyx 2 or, even Half-Life 3 VR, which that's a whole nother video for us to talk about. Yes, I believe that's happening. I believe that Half-Life 3 will be part of this whole thing, and there will be either VR sections in Half-Life 3 or the entire game will be playable in VR thanks to the frame. But again, how many VR headsets, how many frames are you going to sell when there's 10 games worth playing in VR? Well, there's more than that, but you get my point, right? There's a dearth of great VR gaming. How do you sell a $600, $700, $800, $900 headset to people that have 5 games to play? Well, that's the trick. You've got thousands of games to play, because every game will play on the frame. Flat, pancake, 2D, whatever you want to call it, everything in your Steam library will either stream from your PC, stream from GeForce Now, stream from the Steam machine, or play natively in the headset. Everything, almost everything. Anything that's not anti-cheat, but you can play that on your PC. Stream it, right? Everything. And you can tell by every interview, with every video that you see, they do not want to connect the frame directly with VR. That's why they chose a name that has nothing to do with VR. It has to do with a window, a frame into your shit. They want you on Steam, in Steam all the time. And this is how they're going to do it. They built a hardware empire to do it. And that's what we're seeing here. That is what Valve has done. They have built a hardware empire to go with their software empire. And they've completely cut Windows out of the equation. They've cut Microsoft out of the equation. Their shit is basically open source at this point. We win. Everybody wins, including Valve. Of course, they're going to make a shitload of money. We're going to get a shitload of great hardware. And I'm like all a buzz, man. I am all a Twitter about how great this could be. SteamOS, right? I still have to fucking suffer with Windows, right? I've got a good controller. I need a Steam controller. I've given up on VR, but I'm willing to go again because of what Valve is up to, with what Valve is doing. I believe that I believe this ecosystem will work. Pricing is everything. Can they price it to win? Maybe they will. Maybe they'll price that fucker at $399, not the frame, but the Steam machine. Maybe they'll price that shit low. Right? Maybe. Who knows? Okay, so before I'm at home now, so I got to get out of the car, but I think that the index, not the index, Freudian slip, the frame, I think the frame will be, it depends on if they're going with aggressive hardware sales. My money says, yeah, see, that's the thing, right? Everybody says it can't be much more expensive than the Quest or it's going to fail. I don't believe that's the case. There's enough about the frame that they don't have yet. They don't have on the Quest. So I think they could get away with $799, maybe even $899, but it'll be under $1,000 for sure. All right, that's it. It for me. I'm Shane R. Monroe, Pageant We'll see you next time. Take care.